She was at the fucking USC meetup.
Yeah, like a jackrabbit. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
I want to see what she says.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, I kind of want to shift the conversation about DEI a little bit away
Hassan,
from
that's
culture,
what I wanted to say, but my legs are short and I couldn't reach the chair. No, these Jubilee videos are like almost entirely comprised of Hasanabi heads now. I don't know if it's because I watched too many fucking Jubilee videos and you guys were like, oh, I want to be on it. Okay. Or what happened, but like so many of you motherfuckers go on these videos now.
Like a helpful conversation to have. And I really want to talk more about representation. So 1 in 5 Americans currently is Hispanic. This country, like it or not, is not a homogenous country. We are a very diverse country. Mm-hmm. Do you not think that our legislators should be representative of the overall population?
I don't see a way that you can have a quote unquote representative legislature with 435 members of Congress in a country of 340 million people, because you can divvy that up however you want. It's not by race. You could do it by sex. You could do it by gender. You can do it by sexual orientation. How exactly do you decide what is quote unquote the representative group? And also, I don't believe that individuals ought to be represented based.
Here's how you do it. Fucking abolish gerrymandering and stop redistricting. That's literally one of the easiest ways you could do that. Okay? Number one, why is it that black and brown people are always seemingly not in areas where they are statistically viable to make a change in terms of who they vote for? Why do they all get shoved into one fucking district and then the remainder is like packaged into multiple other districts where they cannot actually swing an election? Perhaps that's one of those ways that the, demographic representation does not play itself out in Congress. Now, of course, Ben knows that, right? Ben knows that already. He knows that shit. He is taking that shit for granted. This is something that I need you guys to understand. Ben is very good at taking advantage of the oppressive structures that we all take for granted. We don't even think about it, okay? That's it. That's how he does it. He can always point to, oh, well, how difficult would this be? Hoping that the other person on the other side doesn't know enough to be like, well, one way that this doesn't play itself out is obviously through redistricting, which to Ben, he would immediately go, well, Democrats do it too. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Democrats shouldn't be able to do it either. You know what I mean?
On group identity. So, for example, I'm Jewish. Jews are actually overrepresented in Congress. I don't think that we ought to decide exactly how many people in Congress are Jewish based on the Jewish population of the country. I think that's actually a pretty silly way to do representation.
Well, we don't have to do it systematically, but fundamentally, there is an issue with the fact that we are not fully represented. Like, the entire population is not represented. We have never had a black female president. I still have to pay taxes.
We've never had a
The
Jewish
whole
president.
concept is no taxation without. Well, we have had a white male president. We've had like 45 of them.
Whether Jews count as white or not has been sort of an object of debate for quite a while.
Actually, you do.
We do. Okay.
You do.
So, it depends according to whom. And that's a pretty recent.
Ben, you can't be constantly talking about America as a Judeo-Christian nation and then be like, Jews are not considered white. Like, come on, dude. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. What happened? America used to be a Christian nation. Now, everybody says it's a Judeo-Christian nation. No, you're white. I'm white. You're white. Get the fuck out of here.
Development. Okay, so
basically everyone. It's a religion.
Judaism.
Do you not agree that you were a white man?
I think that it depends on the context in which you're discussing.
That's a great question. She'd be like, can you honest to God say that you're a POC right now? That's a great question. Be like, Ben, can you tell us, are you a person of color?
So what are you, Ben? Are you not a white guy?
I'm a man of Jewish ethnicity, which is sometimes grouped with white and sometimes not. That's the more accurate way to put it. But
oh my gosh, you put Ben on the back foot. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, okay. That's good. Oh, that's good.
When
what
we're
else
talking
would you be
about
grouped
with Jews who are
No, don't flag her. Don't fucking flag her. She's slaying.
Which is an ethnicity. I mean,
so you're not white at all.
I mean, again, it depends who's doing the grouping and how. I've seen Jews grouped with white and Jews grouped with not white. Are we just pretending that doesn't exist? That's a reality. However, as far as your generalized point, which is that we are supposed to identify people by group identity, if we don't have a black female president, somehow black females have not been represented. So Barack Obama was in no way representative of black females because he's not a female.
No,
he
was representative.
So
but
he was
that's
half
the point.
representative. How do you do the math on this? And why?
You shouldn't do the math on it completely statistically, but the fact
You shouldn't
is
do the math on it at all. You should treat people as individuals.
underrepresented.
You should treat people as individuals.
Well, if you don't even want Kamala Harris to attempt to create DEI initiatives in office, then there isn't even going to be a conversation about it.
I mean, I don't think there ought to be a conversation about why we ought to be represented by race or by sex. I think that we are each individual people with individual ideas, and if that person represents my ideas, I don't care what sex, race, or sexual orientation they are.
I mean,
Sorry, Vid, talking about vets and how no one cares about them as a vet. This is true. I wasn't even in combat, and even now I kind of feel ashamed to say I'm in the military. And there are definitely hogs in there, and I feel very outcasted being black and an avid viewer of you, lol. God damn, dude. My fucking fan channels work so goddamn fast is crazy. That's crazy. Like, I said that not even 5 hours ago. Okay? And there's plenty of other people like you in here also. I mean, it's fine. Don't be ashamed of your past experiences as long as you're, like I said, you are not who you used to be. Okay? That is crazy, dude. You know who works harder than the fucking American military? The Hasanabi Cliffs Industrial Complex. Okay? They are working harder than the goddamn Marine Corps, let me tell you. Okay? That's crazy. They were like, they cracked their knuckles and they waited for that shit to be over so they could fucking blast it.
to an extent, yes.
No, entirely.
But there is an issue with the lack of empathy in office. We need to be able to empathize and legislate for the people that are living in this country.
I was not
Do you
aware,
not believe that?
I was not aware that empathy is relegated to particular race solidarity.
No, but I mean, it's easier to be empathetic towards people whose experiences you can fundamentally understand based on your identity. Like, do you not believe that people have an inherent bias?
So first of all, I'm
based
not
on
sure.
identity?
I mean, we can start with the empathy itself. I'm not sure that empathy is always the best basis for actual public policy, because when you have group solidarity and empathy based on group solidarity, you're going to attempt to actually benefit the group with whom you have solidarity. So that actually cuts against generalized
But that's like a
public
fundamental
policy.
thing that just exists, which is why
Wait, but like, Ben, once again, taking advantage of the fucking environment that like group solidarity is already occurring, and it's occurring for white men. But once again, that's just how things are. So if you're a conservative, you can always just point to how things are and then go, what are you going to do? It's common sense. The advantages are so fucking firmly on your side. If you want to do commentary on the conservative side, it's crazy. You could just like literally point to how things are and just go, it's good, and we need more of it. And if it's bad, it's because it's not going the way that it should be. We should do more of it. We should always go back to a time when it was good.
we need representation in government. Okay, cute. Thank you.
Wow, he got it this time. All right, nice. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you, Ben?
You know, it's been
All right, liberal Spider-Man. Let's see what you got today. I hope he fucking cooks his ass, dude.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like an interesting setting being surrounded by 20 people that disagree with you.
I mean, the truth is I grew up in LA and then I went to law school in Cambridge. So,
So
I'm
you had
a
a lot
little
more
used to
than
it.
20.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you say he went to law school at Cambridge? Yeah, he went to Harvard, dog. Just say it. What's so embarrassing about that?
Anyways, let's talk about DEI. Do you think that Trump should have won 2016? I'll wrap it in. It's conceptually relevant. I'll demonstrate the relevance.
Okay, sounds good. By what measure? Do I think he did win, or do I think he should have won?
Do you think he should have won?
I mean, yes, I'm happy that he won. If the question is, am I happy that he won? I'm happy that he won.
Okay. Well, I'd say that Trump won 2016 because
By
of
the way, I did not vote for either candidate in 2016. That's a decision made in retrospect.
Awesome. So I think that Trump won 2016 because of a modality of DEI. Essentially, what I'd say is the Electoral College, right, strives for inclusion of smaller states with lower populations by overrepresenting them in the overall vote.
I love this argument so much. It's so dumb, but it very quickly gets to the heart of how fucking silly the DEI shit is. The Electoral College's DEI is the best. Was it him or was it the other white debate kid on TikTok that first cooked that shit up? When I heard it the first time, I was like, "Damn, that's you're chefing, okay? Excellent." I don't know which one of them came up with it, but great one. Great fucking bar, okay?
Like, you could correct me if I'm wrong, or the Sand fact checkers can. I'm pretty sure that over the last 25 to 30 years, Republicans have won the presidency given the Electoral College, not given the overall popular vote. So if you're against DEI, if you don't want inclusion on the basis of race, inclusion on the basis of gender, or even what you're saying earlier, we could even say inclusion on the basis of class, why do you want inclusion on the basis of population, rural areas, states,
We should actually use a better
in the
example. Why don't you just ask if I
Electoral
believe in the U.S. Senate?
College?
Right?
The U.S.
is a better
Senate, this would
example.
also apply to the U.S. Senate.
Right. Okay. So let's use the U.S. Senate because the U.S. Senate is actually even
It's the greatest deliberative body in the world.
more unrepresentative of the general population than the Electoral College, which is at least a rough approximation.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the U.S. Senate, we wouldn't care about states like Montana. It's like we don't. That's why it's a nuclear dump. Okay, that's why the nuclear silos are there. Okay, so that they could be the nuclear sponge. We don't. We literally don't. Don't act like you do. Shut the fuck up.
It'd just be funnier to hear you say that you shouldn't have voted for Trump in 2016. But we could talk about.
I mean,
that's
that's a different subject, but
Yeah.
I'm very happy that he won, even though I didn't vote for him. I mean, we can talk about Trump later.
Yeah.
We've already done a bit. Well, I'm sure we'll do more. As far as the idea that every elected body has to be elected based on population as opposed to based on the area of geographic distribution or the states that actually pre-existed the federal government. Okay, the way that the Constitution of the United States was created was as a contract between sovereign states, which is one of the reasons why, for example, you have a United States Senate as opposed to just a House of Representatives. So is that a form of DEI? That seems like a stretch to me.
Why?
The kind of DEI that I'm talking about specifically would be separating human beings based on inherent characteristics, like, for example, race, as opposed to suggesting that the United States Senate, which is obviously
Oh, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it when you use the Electoral College. He's like, no, I want DEI to be what I think it is. Okay? I want DEI to be what I think it is. You can't make the argument about diversity, equity, and inclusion for anything else. It just means black people. That's why I love this line of argumentation. It directly fits the bill, and it's just like, it's like a good thing to just throw in the face of Republicans because they immediately have to turn around and be like, well, I think it's just black people. I'm saying black people when I say DEI.
representative of the general population. in many
seemingly
ways.
my point is
somehow
this is
bad.
just
That's a check and balance, right?
Well, seemingly my point is that this is another modality of DEI. I've no problem with you explaining to me, right, why the Senate or the Electoral College would be given the U.S. Constitution and some contractual agreement that they had between the sovereign states. That's fine. But what I'd say is that your claim here would just imply that the Constitution upholds DEI within our electoral process.
Why are you ragging on what he sounds like? Disagree all day, but why shit on something he can't control? Because he sounds like a fucking nerd, okay? That's why. I'm having fun with it. Shut the fuck up, bitch. You sound like a fucking nerd too. Excuse me, that's an ad hominem. Shut up, bitch. We're having fun with it. We're watching a fucking silly ass Jubilee video, okay? He's a fucking ginormous piece of shit. You understand? Virtually every single thing that comes out of his mouth is bile. I'm sorry that it hurts your little fifis because Ben Shapiro might not hear you making a nerd voice when talking about him, but your friend who is a nerd will. He's acting like you're making fun of a disability. Yeah.
Processes.
If your claim is
so, do you think that the Constitution upholds DEI in the sense of including smaller states with less representative populations?
That is a true stretch of the meaning of DEI. But I get your point. I mean, if the idea is that the only thing that is not pure DEI in a democratic context would be sort of popularly represented votes, then I think you can make the case that basically you should get rid of every representative institution. We should go to a pure democracy because.
Well, I'm not making a case for what we should replace it with. I'm making the case that it would uphold DEI. We could talk about what other systems should function in the case of the Electoral College or in the case of the Senate, but that's a completely different conversation than are these systems upholding DEI.
So again, I think that you're definitionally stretching DEI. If DEI is the basic idea that all disparities equal discrimination and must be rectified by government interventionism, which is sort of the definition, then stretching that to mean the Electoral College seems like you're going pretty far afield to defend.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's using the appropriate language when he says the Electoral College or the Senate, if you want to talk about that, is a modality of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is directly designed to create some sense of equity and inclusion from states that are significantly smaller. Okay? That's it. The problem here is that you either don't know what DEI means or you know exactly what it means, but you're using it in a different way because you're using it as a substitute for non-white, non-man, usually just a substitute for black. But in this case, Ben Shapiro is an equal opportunity hater for the most part. So maybe he means like non-white male. That's it. It's the same exact reason why we never say that like Tim Walz is a DEI pick. We never said Joe Biden is a DEI pick, right? They are.
And a very broad concept as specifically badly applied.
Wait, 1 second. I don't think that we need to say that DEI is equivalent to disparities equal discrimination. We could just see that DEI is like a qualm for disparities in general, right? And what we apply here in this certain modality when we're talking about the Electoral College, when we're talking about the Senate, is we're trying to qualm the disparities of the lack of population in rural areas. We're trying to qualm the disparities of smaller states compared to larger states. And seemingly, you haven't really given me a response to this apart from calling it a stretch, but I do appreciate you for
No, I mean, it seems to me like the argument that you're making is that in order for there to be calm and sort of conciliation inside the United States, particular racial groups have to be given particular benefits. Okay, well, because that was the argument with regard to the states in the United States, right? When the Constitution was formed, the way that you came to an actual agreement in the Constitutional Convention is states were not going to sign on unless they got particular guarantees of the interests of those particular states, right? So if you're claiming that that's DEI, then the response that I
Ben is literally saying, Ben just described the concept of equity and then said, and this is why it doesn't fucking fit the bill of DEI.
would have is right, because that's how you have to come to an agreement. So if you're going to make the parallel argument with regard to DEI in, for example, the racial context, you then have to make the case that the only way that you can have conciliation in the United States is for particular racial groups to be given specific racial benefits, and otherwise the country is going to split apart, which is an argument with which I generally disagree, even if I agreed with the way the Constitution was formed.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't see like your parallel here, right? I think that DEI could exist in multiple modalities. My argument in a nutshell is nothing more than the fact that
he's saying DEI means give black people benefits is so slimy. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. Ben keeps not saying the quiet part out loud, but pointing to it that DEI means black person. Okay. The fundamental disagreement here between Timothy Chalamet, woke Timothy Charlemagne and Ben Shapiro is that technically the Electoral College, something that Ben would defend, or the way that the Senate is structured, another thing that Ben would defend, is built on the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Ben is constantly going back to the argument that like, nah, it just means black people. But without openly saying it like that, because he would openly say it like that, then you would realize like he's a racist piece of shit. He's a racist piece of shit who avoids certain realities, like you avoid the top of the hour ad break, by subscribing. That is Tom Holland, woke Spider-Man. He could be Libethy Chalamet. I don't know. We're being anti-white racist right here. Here's the 3-minute ad break now, by the way. Punk Cushion, thank you for the 10 gifted subs.
We see disparities existing in rural areas compared to metropolitan areas. We see disparities existing in the size of a state and its overall population. And you're qualming these. And you're
right.
Can't tell if you like this kid or not. No, I do like him. I like him. I think he's a little bit too libbed up. And I hope that he doesn't fall full tilt debate lord. I mean, he is doing that right now, but I think that What's his take on Palestine? I don't know. I actually have no idea. Like, I like him more than I like Harry Sisson, for sure. Like, there were a couple things that he said. There were a couple things that he said in that, like, previous one against Charlie Kirk where was it Charlie Kirk? Like, where I didn't fully, I didn't think that he took the best route when, like, talking about Kamala's immigration policies. But overall, I think he's a pretty solid debater, and it seems like his heart is in the right place. And when people constantly fucking have guys like this and they go, oh, dude, he follows this, and like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, I don't even care if you're a fucking fan of Destiny. If you're like literally constantly in his fucking community, okay? As long as you present yourself in a solid fucking fashion against someone like Ben Shapiro and make him eat his fucking words, I'm gonna ride for you in that moment, okay? 1000%. Even including, but not limited to, what's that other guy? The guy that was on the Nirvana cover when he was a baby who fucking hates me. I would have given Divorcelli a fucking shot if he actually didn't sit there and goddamn agree with Ben Shapiro for like most of the conversation that they had. So much so that even everyone's favorite centrist Lex Friedman was like, you guys agree on a lot, huh? That's crazy. Like that is, to me, that's unconscionable, okay? There's a couple things I don't like. There's a couple things I can't fucking stand. There's a couple things I don't like. One of those things is obviously like sitting around and just like fucking agreeing with Ben Shapiro. It's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable when Anna did it too. I don't think it was fucking appropriate at all. This man is a goddamn demon. That's fucked up. The other thing that's unacceptable also, I forget what I was gonna say. I don't even have a fucking 3 minute. Oh, the other thing that I thought that he did that was like fucked up was when he went on the fucking cake stream to like debate Nicholas Fuentes. Like I don't think that was a good idea. There is no reason whatsoever, even though his platform is not that big overall and it's more beneficial for him. Even though his platform is not that big and it was somewhat beneficial for him to present himself in front of like a Nazi, I don't think that you should ever fucking sit across from a guy like Nick Fuentes and debate them. I just don't think that it's a smart way to go about things. Now, the difference there, of course, is that like if Nick Fuentes was like straight up in a prominent, elevated position, then that's a little different. Like has a massive fucking fan base and a massive audience and like tens of thousands of people who like hang on every word that he says, then you have to deal with that. But everything that you do leading up to that is basically giving him an additional platform, like having him over or going out and getting chicken and waffles with him and inviting him to your home. Like these are all things that you should never do, especially when he had no fucking motion, no juice whatsoever. Like when you do that, or when you fucking bring him on to like other podcasts, you put him to the fucking podcast circuit, like you are giving him clout, which is insane. I'm not saying that Dean did that, by the way. There's another person that did say that or did do that.
Right, but
whereas losing the
DEI response to that would not be
like through like an over representation.
And the DEI
and I understand that your argument is, but my single-handed point here is that you would say, in some sense, that this is a reconciliation to introduce more inclusion in the sense of a state to state in their population. I mean, so if you make the concession that this is DEI, would you say in the same sense that we shouldn't have?
I don't make the concession that falls within the definition of DEI that I've used, and if you're claim is that I'm now in favor of, for example, subsidies to rural areas at the expense of urban areas, I'm not actually.
So do you think
in
that
favor of
DEI would only
fundamentally.
apply in the context of race?
No, it could apply in the context of class. It could apply.
Okay,
in the
if it could apply in the context of race,
identity.
class, and identity, why can't it apply in the context of a state's population and their representation in our government?
I mean, if they were to receive special bennies at the expense of other members of the population,
They
on the
are.
basis of state
They are.
population-
Wait, yeah. What do you mean? You're allocating political capital directly to a state that it does not. You're allocating political power to a state, not by the virtue of anything, but simply existing as a state. What the fuck does he mean? Wait, what does he mean by bennies? Is he a gonk? Oh, benefits. Isn't bennies like cyberpunk money? Oh, no, that was Eddie's. And One Piece currency is berries. So I guess no one has, there isn't. What the fuck did you say? Gonk. Is he a gonk or a choom? No choom, it's Eddie's. A lot of you are a bunch of corpo gonks, dude. You don't know what a real choom. You don't know what a real choom sounds like. I'm speaking cyberpunk speak. I'm going to have a Johnny Silverhand moment. All of the words that I'm using right now that you don't understand is from a famous video game called Cyberpunk 2077. It was a very, it was a board game with a cult-like following that turned into a fantastic video game that I very much enjoyed with a immersive, massive environment set in a future libertarian dystopia by CD Projekt Red. Okay, let's continue.
Yes, like Alabama or Arkansas are literally receiving special benefits insofar as a greater level of representation in our Senate and in electoral processes compared to people in California. I mean, for instance, that's my buddy Parker over there. He lives in California, right? And
I'm fully aware
I
of the
live in
electoral college and the
Colorado.
Senate work, dude.
So I literally have more representation person for person in the sense of Parker's vote compared to my vote, because individualistically speaking, I'm from a state that has more representation, and the same thing could be said for multiple other states across America, especially in the Senate. There's two senators that represent me and everyone else in Colorado, and there's two senators that represent him and millions more people.
How are you getting from point
California.
A, which is that California has 2 senators and Colorado has 2 senators, to point B, which is that we should have incredible racial carve-outs on the basis of group identity at the behest of the federal government? That is a very, very large stretch. And to
No, it's not. No, it's not. You are desperately running away from the principle when it suits your political project versus the way that you want to represent what DEI actually is without actually ever admitting that when you say DEI, you mean black people. You are embarrassed to say it because you're at least too smart to understand a common Hasanabi principle. There is a level of permissible racism in America. Ben Shapiro sometimes goes above it, but usually stays under that boundary in an effort to make himself seem like an intellectual. Okay?
to get from point A to point B on the basis of the constitutional structure seems like you're going pretty far afield. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but you know, the rubber band only goes so far.
That's the end of this claim.
That's great.
I appreciate you, man. Hopefully we could talk more.
I hear what you're saying.
The other thing with like debate guys is that they have like respect for a guy like Ben Shapiro. I think that I have too much hate in my heart for people that spread that kind of hate. You know what I mean?
Next claim is that Kamala Harris's extreme pro-abortion stance is morally indefensible. What's going on, dude?
Meet you, man.
Hey, good to meet you. Okay, so I just want to clarify the claim because,
sure.
okay, so the claim that I'm making about
What is up with this hat, my man? What's up with the dudes wearing like crazy shit to this?
Kamala Harris, let's first say like what I believe her position to be. Okay, so she has not stated any abortion law that she would not veto. right? So the Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act, for example, or late-term abortion bans, she would presumably veto that as president of the United States. That's the position that I'm taking in this particular prompt. Okay, so that is the position that I find morally indefensible. Okay, so again, I'm a very, very pro-life person, but I can see at least the sort of nuanced arguments that some people on the left try to make about abortion, even if I disagree with those arguments. The argument that she's making, which is effectively abortion until birth should be in no way regulated, I find that to be morally indefensible.
Bro, you say to yourself, there's a lot of Hasanabi heads. I don't know.
My understanding right now is that a majority of Democrats would not support abortion through birth. My understanding is the more popular position, I don't think any state lets you go through birth.
I don't think this man is a Hasanabi head. I think this is a fallen Hasanabi head, maybe a former Hasanabi head.
Maybe I'm off on that. Maybe there's a couple.
California and New York, actually.
Okay, understood. But yeah, I think the key claim is basically, I think most Democrats would want abortion within the first few weeks prior to the development of my personal moral starting point of life is that the mind is the seat of consciousness, the brain is is where your self is. If you replace your heart, you have a robo heart, you're chilling. If you replace your brain, you're a different person, you're dead. And I think that when that brain first starts to develop, that's sort of where I see the beginning of life and where the fetus gets their first moral consideration. Would you agree that abortion before that point is tolerable?
No, I don't agree with that. But again, quick question, just as far as defining the positions.
Yeah.
So would you agree that late-term abortion is indefensible?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's not my position.
Late-term abortion. You have officially conceded the argument to your opponent. Number one, don't do this, okay? Do not do this. There's not a single state in the United States of America where you can get a third trimester abortion without some sort of medical necessity, okay? Every single state. You cannot have a fun abortion. A late-term abortion implies that someone is going out there and just getting an abortion for the fuck of it, okay? That's not how this works. Just letting you guys know, this is a rhetorical trick that Republicans apply all the time. Okay? It's not a real problem, and it also should not be legislated. Now, the reason why it should not be legislated is because the overwhelming majority, if not every single person that gets a fucking third trimester abortion is actually looking to carry a pregnancy to term. It is already a very traumatic experience for the fucking carrier and the family because they thought that they were going to have a baby. They start buying cribs for the child. They start buying clothes for the fucking child. So you're unnecessarily complicating this process by adding a legal hurdle on top of it. And it will cause the carrier to potentially die. It is a silly fucking distinction that people make. Okay? It's a Republican trap, okay? It is a Republican trap. That's it. When people say legal at any stage, what they actually still mean is that it is legal in the third trimester, but you still need to get some kind of medical, some kind of medical intervention, because you can't get an abortion at that point without like direct medical intervention. It has to still have some kind of medical necessity. A psychological trauma could be made as an argument. Anyway, where is it? Current legal status, waiting period, no mandatory waiting period, legal at any stage, Alaska does not require a minor to notify a parent. In September, Alaska Superior Court judge struck down the requirement that only licensed physicians provide abortions, meaning the procedure can now be legally performed by nurse practitioners. Why is it legal at all stages of pregnancy? Number of abortion clinics in the state decreased by 1% going from state faced the risk of unintended pregnancy, abortion rights. Women from the state participated in marches supporting abortion rights, Stop the Bans movement. Yeah. If the woman really didn't want the baby, don't you think they would have aborted it earlier? Exactly. It is a fucking stupid argument. Why the fuck would someone carry a pregnancy to 6 months? The only hyper limited circumstances, like so unimaginably fucking marginal, is if someone found out that they were pregnant too late and they were not able to get an abortion earlier than the 6-month barrier. Okay? That's it. That is the only case. And even then, you can absolutely make an argument that this is to save the carrier. After all, abortions can still be deadly in the United States of America. As a matter of fact, much worse mortality rates than any other OECD nation. I think we're like in the bottom. Anyway. Child, yeah. Too fat to know they're pregnant? No, that's not how that goes, man. Not all pregnancies are the same fucking... Why don't Kamala say that instead of saying we hate third trimester abortions? Because people have a hard time describing this shit. For the record, it's really stupid, and it is a ridiculous argument. It's a ridiculous argument to fucking present. They're just trying to find like something that sounds not so right. The entire process for the Republicans is to make it seem like women are being sluts and fucking around, and then they just like want to get a fucking abortion because they were just like, again, fucking around and being slutty, and they need to be punished by carrying a pregnancy to term. And they want to do it at the last second for fun. It's so stupid. It doesn't make sense. It literally is not a thing that happens. And adding an unnecessary legal hurdle in front of it will only prevent people who literally need to get that abortion. The overwhelming majority, if not like maybe there's like one person, okay, that was like, I want to get a fucking abortion for fun in the 3rd trimester because I wanted to see what it's like to carry a pregnancy almost to term. There could be one person in the fucking history of the United States. That does not matter, okay? There are tens of thousands of fucking women that literally go through this complicated process all the way to the 3rd trimester and then have to get a fucking medically necessary 3rd trimester abortion, which is a tremendous medical intervention, by the way. It's basically like, you know, where you are chopping up the fucking mother a little bit and the fetus too. And it is a devastating process. So it's fucking ridiculous that these guys want to shut that off because they have invented a person that is going to go and do it for fun. Okay? Arizona is legal up to the 15th week of pregnancy. Patients must meet a physician at least 24 hours before the procedure, and a licensed physician must perform the procedure. Minors under the age of 18 must receive parental consent. Total abortion ban was passed in Arizona territory. That was a famous one. Anyway. Did you already react to the Ben Shapiro Jubilee video, my king? I'm currently in the process of reacting to it. I just wanted to briefly mention that the concept of 3rd trimester abortions are no different than like any sort of abortion restriction at any other stage. Once people realize that it's fucking stupid, once people realize that framing is fucking stupid, you can have a better, more productive conversation.
Okay, so you actually agree with me on the prompt. Okay, so now we get into the broader abortion conversation. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
no worries.
That's totally cool. So yes, no.
Do you feel like a majority of Democrats support through like the moment before birth?
A majority of Democrats have not supported any abortion legislation on the federal level in my entire lifetime, nor do I suppose that they will. So if there were to be a consensus 15-week abortion ban, for example, which is about the status in Europe, I would assume that virtually all Democrats would vote against that 15-week abortion ban.
Mm-hmm.
So well, you know, I may agree with your more moderate position, or at least use that as a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
That is certainly not where the Democratic Party historically has been, nor is it where the Democratic Party is right now.
All right, awesome, understood. And just to understand where you begin your moral consideration for a fetus.
Oh, where I consider?
Yeah.
No, this guy's not a Hasanabi head. He's just trying to have a fucking philosophical conversation with Ben. There ain't no fucking way, dude. It's a dumb, unproductive way to talk to a charlatan. Okay? Ben Shapiro is not a serious person. Ben Shapiro is literally a professional debater. Okay? His job is to package his ideas in as short of a period of time as possible. You are never going to be you're never going to be able to have this long, convoluted conversation about the morality or whatever. Even though Ben presented the argument as Kamala Harris's extreme pro-abortion stance is morally indefensible, don't concede to the framing of your opponent ever.
At conception, right? So I believe in life, that life begins at conception. You now have a human being with potential, not a potential human being. And then the question is exactly what the moral value of that human being is. Once you acknowledge that there is, in fact, a countervailing interest to, for example, a woman's quote-unquote right to choose, once you acknowledge there's an independent interest.
Sure. Thank you so much for your time, Ben.
Hassan, why did you wipe your Discord? I was having fun hating on Jews. That's great, man. I like that the mindset of these fucking delusional losers is so Republican, like genuinely, that they cannot find a problem, so they invent it on their own. This is no different than Steven Crowder being like, oh, trans people are competing in athletic competitions to exclusively defeat women by faking being trans. And then because they can't fucking find a single person that's doing that, they become that person. I like that that's what you're doing. That like you made up a story and now you're like, well, why can't I be the fucking guy? Are you admitting to Brigade to introduce anti-Semitism into our community? The answer is yes. That is precisely what that person was doing. But they're so fucking stupid that they think that this is somehow a solid way to do it.
You made it. You're good. You can relax.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Hello. Nice to meet you. Oh wow, you look better in person. Okay, so
That's very sweet of you.
No, don't do that.
I don't often get that, so thank you.
Okay, it's fine. But yeah, how do you define abortion really quickly?
Abortion would be the forcible termination of an unborn human life.
Yes, but like, why do you hold that definition? Like, would you not assume like something like a C-section would be considered an abortion?
No, because the baby is born alive. So how would that be an abortion?
What does the definition of abortion have to include the death of a fetus?
Because that's literally the definition of abortion.
It literally isn't though. Where are you getting this definition from?
Where are you getting your definition from?
Let's go to like what do you like in like Mayo Clinic, like any fucking like hospital you've ever gone to before? Like,
It's not a ha moment. She's not wrong. It's just like abortion is like, I guess it doesn't really matter, but like in the medical sense, what she's saying is not entirely incorrect, but it doesn't fucking matter. It's like being like, well, anti-Semitism, I'll have you know, Arabs are Semites. It's a Semitic language. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. It's a semantics argument that I think is not the best avenue of approach, unless she's going to use that as a jump off point for a broader point that she's going to make.
A C-section ends with the birth of the child.
right, but
I know,
but abortion,
both I and all three of my siblings were born via
generally.
C-section.
Yeah, I understand this.
I'm here. I'm talking to you.
I know, baby.
Thus I was not aborted.
I understand this, but like yes, but like no. Well, yes, but like no. But no, you could simply say that abortion is simply the ending of a pregnancy, right?
Did you really nuke your whole Discord server? No. Also, I have no control over my own Discord anyway. I have no fucking idea. If you think that I have the capacity to fucking nuke an entire Discord server, I would have fucking nuked it a long ass time ago. What is happening? What is this Discord not? Is this a new talking point? Is that what's going on? This is what we've moved on to. I like that because you can't find anything that isn't fucking clip chimped into oblivion that I have said that I personally believe that you have issue with, that we have now decided we're going to move on from that to random people are being anti-Semitic to me online on Twitter. And even if they don't fucking follow Hassan, it still doesn't matter. It's still his fault. Good luck, dude. I'm sure you will be able to find a fucking goalpost that you're going to arrive at, that you don't have to fucking move on. Okay? That you don't have to fucking motorize as much.
So the ending of a pregnancy
No,
outside of the natural
say that.
birth of a fetus. So I
No,
don't see that. I don't see why you would say that like it would have to end in the death of a fetus, which is why I'm pro-abortion all 9 months, right? Because say if a woman is not able to pass a fetus in the natural way, we could have these other abortion processes that would say like, okay, like she needs some type of induction that doesn't include the actual natural expulsion of a fetus. But it doesn't always end in the death of a fetus. So I don't see how you could say that Kamala Harris' stance is immoral in this sense.
I just don't understand how you're removing the death of the fetus from the equation.
Yeah, if your baby dies inside of you in a miscarriage, you still have to get an abortion. Abortions are a medically induced miscarriage. If your baby dies inside of you, you have to get an abortion to end the pregnancy, even though the baby's already dead.
About abortion. That's literally the entire moral issue. You and I would not even be arguing if we were talking about C-sections or about natural birth.
But it seems like at its core, though, we disagree on what the inherent definition of abortion
then
is.
you could leave away. We could very easily solve this. Let's just not talk about the word abortion. Let's talk about the forcible termination of a baby.
Okay, so then what do you value in the fetus then?
The life of the fetus.
Okay, so then when is this? You said it because of conception?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because that is
Okay, this has been 2 debates, like 2 debaters so far, and I feel like they haven't been able to. They really think you have they really think you know how to do anything in your Discord. Okay, why are you guys making fun of me? Yeah, I don't know how to do it. Okay, suck my dick. Shut up, bitch.
is literally the biological definition of when an independent life
Yes,
begins.
but like, why does it have moral value?
It has moral value because
We wipe the Discord every year to keep things manageable. It's also funny they keep saying we're anti-Semitic in this Discord when we literally nuke their account from the server as soon as someone says anything anti-Semitic. Yeah, I know. It's not something that is acceptable in this fucking community. It never has been and it never will be. You can fucking cry about it all day, every day. Okay, suck my fucking dick.
because that's literally the biological definition of when a human life begins.
Right, but like, why does that have moral value though?
Okay, why does any life have moral value?
I would value sentience.
But why?
Right, because
Based on what?
This is simply what we value, like you and I value. Like, is it okay to like unplug like a brain dead patient, for example?
I mean, the question is whether it's okay to unplug a brain dead patient. Actually, quite a controversial one in sort of religious circles.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as why, I'm just wondering if somebody's in a coma and you know they're going to wake up, do you have the right to unplug them?
Coma's not brain dead though. We know that there's future sentience there. Like, it would be like a matter of like a conjunct of like past, future, like past, present, or future sentience. But like a person in a coma has.
I agree,
and
and guess what? Fetuses also have guaranteed future sentience.
Well, no, because you're only valuing.
Oh my God. Why are we doing this? Guys, you can literally be fucking pro-life in your own mind and still be pro-choice. Okay. Why? One must ask the question, why? Many Americans are. How is that possible? It's because being pro-choice is saying that the government should not interfere in this medical intervention. That should be kept between a patient and their medical professional. What the fuck is this conversation? You might have a disagreement with people taking diabetes medication. That doesn't make any sense. If you were to fucking run around and be like, I'm sorry, I think if you have diabetes, you should die. You should not be able to get insulin because I don't feel like it, because I feel like you made personal choices that caused you to get diabetes later on because you ate too much or some shit. Not talking about fucking diabetes that you get from a child, from childbirth, but like diabetes that you got later on in your life. So you have to fucking die now because I feel like you made this mistake. That's a fucking idiotic argument to make. That is the argument that they keep making for abortion. That's it. That's it. That is the only thing you need to talk about. How can we regulate this? Okay? There is a fucking reason why this is such a deeply unpopular thing in the United States of America after the Supreme Court, with the Trump appointments, decided to fucking strike down Roe v. Wade after lying about it. Okay? After saying that it was a super precedent, that they would never touch it. Okay? Oh. The morality of the fetus or the sentience has no bearing in this conversation, okay?
One half of the conjunct. That's not, right? So it would be past, present, or future.
Now you're changing the topic. I mean, we started with what's the value of the fetus.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Whoa! Like, I don't even think you should do the violinist problem, okay? I don't even think you should do the violinist problem. There is no reason to have long, convoluted philosophical arguments, especially with the likes of Ben Shapiro. Okay? No, you shouldn't even make the violinist argument. Okay? You shouldn't, because it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's like you are ridding your body of a parasite. You're going to, optically speaking, people are not going to like the argument that you're making if you start referring to a fetus as a parasite. The violinist problem is, the violinist argument is that if there is a, what was it, like a fucking world famous violinist that one day you wake up and a world famous violinist is like strapped to your fucking body, and you know they did this without telling you, and now the violinist is on life support and can't fucking survive unless they are, if you rip the fucking cord, the violinist dies, okay? But you didn't consent to having the violinist be attached to your body. You didn't know that the violinist was attached to your body, and now you can't do things that you want to do because the violinist is attached to your fucking body. The dude who uses that on destroys him, in my opinion. Okay. Spoiler alert, Ben uses this example. Yeah, it's a famous thought experiment, okay? Imagine waking up in a bed, disoriented, bleary-eyed, and confused. You can't remember how you got there. The bed you're in doesn't feel familiar. As soon as you get a sense of your surroundings, you notice a bunch of medical equipment around. You notice plugs and tubes coming out of your body. You realize you're back-to-back with another person. A glimpse in the mirror tells you the person you're attached to is a world-famous violinist, one with a fatal kidney ailment. And now you start to realize what's happened. Last night you were invited to the guest of honor at an event hosted by the Society of Music Lovers. During the event, they told you about this violinist whose prodigious talent would be taken from the world too soon if they couldn't find a way to fix him. It looks like, based on the medical records strewn around the room, the Society of Music Lovers have been scouring the globe for someone whose blood type and genetic markers are a match with a violinist. A doctor enters the room looking distressed. She informs you the Society of Music Lovers drugged and kidnapped you and had your circulatory system hooked up to the violinist. Do you have the right to unplug? The answer is yes, but I just still think it's a fucking long and convoluted conversation to have with the likes of Ben Shapiro, especially because the morality of abortion is completely negligible in this situation. The sentience, what it means to be, what stage are we considering a life to be life? All of those conversations are completely irrelevant, okay? Autonomy rules over all. And on top of that, when we're writing legislation or when we're arguing that certain sets of standards should be kept the way it is, you don't have to make these conversations happen. You don't have to have these long, convoluted philosophical arguments. You want to know why? Because in practice, legislation is not always going to be perfect. But the goal of legislation, the goal of rules, is to ensure the maximum outcome of harm reduction, okay? When you start making rules about like what kind of abortion should be stopped, you all of a sudden, and I gave you this example in the fucking third trimester situation, you all of a sudden start creating unnecessary complications that end up hurting real existing alive people, okay? And that's unacceptable. It's supposed to be completely unacceptable. Yeah, the one I always use is if a hospital's on fire, would you rather save a week-old baby or a freezer full of fertilized eggs? But that's also an intellectual trapping. The reason why I say that is because you look like a fucking idiot if you say the fertilized eggs. That's the only reason why you ever bring that up. It's a debate lord technique that I also apply, because technically your goal in that situation is to cause the other person to come across like a fucking weirdo. If they say fertilized eggs, then they're a fucking weirdo. Most people are going to look at that and be like, you're a weirdo. No one would do that. That's the reason why you apply that argument.
You know what? You know what? Just for, honest to God, just for that,
That's the thing. They view potential humans the same as actual humans. No, they don't. That's the entire point of this conversation. And that's precisely the reason why they make medical exceptions in the cases of incestuous rape or in the cases of rape in general. Even though technically that's a bullshit fucking exception anyway, because the legal process to figure out if rape even fucking occurred or not, already pretty fucked up with our massive backlog of untested rape kits, is going to greatly be longer than the fucking carrying the pregnancy to term to begin with. So it's bullshit. All of it is fucking bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit. That's why you cannot fucking legislate this stuff. You cannot restrict this stuff. Anyway.
Forfeit. That's like some serious efforting right there.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
I'll take
Really well
it.
done.
Thank you. Yeah. So on the topic of abortion, I think we have a big focus on the moral aspects of abortion.
They say they view them the same, but they genuinely don't. That's how you catch. That's how that argument catches them off guard. Yes, exactly. The fertilized eggs versus the baby argument is to expose that you don't fucking believe that it's murder and a life is a life. Okay, you don't actually believe fertilized eggs are a life. That's it. If you did, you would not have any medical exemptions. You would not allow any abortions to happen, even if it was a rape child, even if it was a child that was giving birth because they were raped as a child. Okay? You wouldn't. Technically, Alabama and other states that have like no exceptions whatsoever are actually more honest about their fucking barbarity. Okay?
Abortion, but I do think we should talk about the legal aspects of life, because when a baby is born, two things happen: birth certificate, social security card. When there are fetus, when it's like cells in the body, you don't get the birth certificate, you don't get a social security card because it's not alive, it's not born yet. Therefore, when it comes to like the moral repercussions of having abortion, I feel like that's very different than legally, because if a cluster of cells in a woman was equivalent to a baby, I should be able to have tax deductions on that kid. I should be able to have child care from the government. I should be able to have child support from the father. But since like the clusters of cells is in fact not a baby, I feel like morally, you can say whatever, but legally,
morality is a trick in this situation. Ben is saying morality because it's a trick. If you want to use morally indefensible, if you want to use the premise that he set up, don't talk about the morality of the fetus, but talk about the morality of the harm, the much larger harm that is being conducted here when you enforce this insane restriction upon an entire population of people.
the clusters of cells is not like
So sort
alive.
of hiding behind the legal positivist position, I think, to shield against the morality.
Yeah, hiding behind the legal positive disposition. Shut the fuck up. What do you mean? That's what you're talking about, okay? That is what you're talking about. It's morally indefensible is just seasoning that you're adding to the conversation.
Here is a problem, and I'll tell you why. Okay. So when it comes to, first of all, don't threaten me with a good time. I'm perfectly happy to have people pay paternity for children that are currently in utero. Like that's fine with me. In fact, I think that'd be quite good. I think it would incentivize fathers to stay with the mothers and actually be more responsible. But if we're talking about legal status, there are plenty of people in the United States, for example, who don't have legal status right now, who don't have a social security card, for example, in the United States. Obviously, we can't kill them. They're legal immigrants. We shouldn't murder them. There are lots of people in the legal status does not, in fact, equate to moral status in any sense of the term. I mean, that it's true, for example, that children can't vote and don't actually have control over any of their.
Oh, okay. Just the only question you have to ask is like, do you believe life begins at conception? He's going to say yes. Then you're going to say, okay, that's the reason why you want abortions, correct? He's going to say yes, because all abortions are murder. He's going to say yes. Then you're going to say, do you not believe that there should be exceptions for rape, incestuous rape, and the like? Would you force a 12-year-old, would you force your own daughter to carry a pregnancy to term by force, even if it was a product of incestuous rape? If he says yes, he looks like a fucking clown ass anyway. You basically optically won the argument. Okay? You basically optically won the argument. Then you can start talking about how fucking insane that is. Charlie Kirk did say yes to that. I remember. Okay? I remember. Yes, Charlie Kirk, they walked Charlie Kirk step by step through this process, to which he responded with yes, yes, and yes. Okay? then you can basically say that is unconscionable and unimaginable cruelty that you are subjecting a 12-year-old to. You should have your child separated from you by Child Protective Services for the crime of forcing them to carry a pregnancy to term. Oftentimes, a procedure that is so devastating that your child might not even survive. So the argument here is insanely stupid. You would rather kill your 12-year-old child who was a victim of rape in order to maintain your supposed quote-unquote moral integrity than, engage in this life-saving medical intervention. So that's the fucking stupid argument. Also, the other argument for Ben that you can make is Judaism, which is ironic because Ben is Jewish. Judaism does not have the same restrictions on abortion that like the false interpretation under Christianity does. So there's also that aspect of the conversation. It's literally permissible under Judaism.
Their decision making, right? I have 4 kids of my own, and I control their decision making because they're very small. Okay, that doesn't mean that I get to kill them. So the idea of legal status, thus being the basis of a moral status, is putting the cart before the horse. The truth is that it's because things have a moral status that we give them a legal status, and obviously you can see that state by state, right? For example, even in the state of California, they had something called Lacey's Law for a while. I think it's still applicable, where if somebody killed a pregnant woman, that could be treated as a double homicide in criminal law. Okay, that sort of stuff applies all over the United States. So using the legal as a substitute to sort of evade the moral question ignores the fact that people make law in the states based on what their moral perception of the issue is. The law follows.
There's a much greater moral harm that you are subjecting millions, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of existing, living, breathing Americans in an effort to abide by a standard that your religion does not actually have. You're doing this for Christianity. That's number one. Okay, because you're a cuck. And 2, this standard is not even one that anyone actually holds on to personally. Okay? It's so stupid.
The moral
Yeah, he's a massive Christ cuck.
perception, not the other way around.
Yes, I agree, but I think there is a problem with the moral perception, especially when you consider that morality varies all across America. It's not uniform anywhere. And that's a big problem, especially when you see in the South when they're having like 6-week abortion bans, which is detrimental to women's health. Because as we see in Georgia right now, there were 2 women who were pregnant who went to a hospital, get health care, and they were denied that care because there was confusion surrounding abortion laws. That's why I focus more so on the legality aspect of it, because that's something that's uniform.
That's good.
Something
That's
that
a
can
good
be known.
argument,
It is
though.
uniform though, right? I mean, it does vary state to state. I mean, as you yourself just acknowledged.
True, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't. Before, there was a very famous Supreme Court decision that made it so that there was at least like a bottom that you couldn't go under, you know? Kind of why we're having this conversation right now, Ben. Because it was overturned. I don't know.
Yes,
So,
it
you know,
does.
when it comes to sort of we can get into the specifics of those particular Georgia cases. One of them particularly has been relatively badly covered. It's about a woman who took basically both doses of the abortion medication. She took it without the supervision of a doctor. She then experienced essentially sepsis, and she went to the hospital late. And then under no interpretation, by this point, she had twins. Both of the fetuses were unfortunately dead by this point, so there actually was no legal problem with performing a DNC at that time, and the hospital misinterpreted the law. You know, but without getting into more details about that particular case, the real question when it comes to abortion is, was, and always will be how we weigh 2 separate considerations. One is the moral value of the life of the fetus, and the second is the woman's right to choose. The problem is that these are sort of mutually exclusive, meaning that I don't have a right to choose about your life, right? About whether I get to kill you or not, or about the children that I have who are already born. And so the right to choose is obviated by the acknowledgement of a moral status on the part of the child, and vice versa. Right? If you're willing to say that the child has no moral status whatever, then there really is no problem with abortion. The big moral problem I have with sort of Kamala Harris' position and the position that I have. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
I think I got the judges over here.
All right.
Hey, nice to meet you, Ben.
Plus, I'll see you again later, dude. All right. Yeah.
Nice to meet
How's it
you.
going? Nice to
Hey,
meet you.
Cam. Hey, appreciate you being here and having an open discussion.
Yeah, you bet. It's fun.
Let's say that just hypothetically, right? Baby's born.
Mm-hmm.
Mama can't
It's me, Olalade in LA. What is happening? Are you in the video? Is that what it is? Why do you keep saying in LA, Koreatown?
Feed the baby. She's not breastfeeding. Baby dies. Morally, do you feel like that would be better than if the baby would have just been like aborted before it was born?
I mean, I'm not sure that there's any. I mean, I think that it's significantly worse to purposefully kill a child rather than accidentally or through circumstances kill a child.
Not accidentally, right? She cannot.
She didn't purposefully kill the child.
She can't afford it, right?
I mean,
she can't afford to have the baby, and so you're saying that Kamala Harris is extreme, but your stance is that women are being forced to have children, even if they decide that for whatever reason. I don't care. I don't care.
Why
but
don't
for
you
whatever
care? Why
reason,
don't you care? Because you give me a very
because it's not
specific
between
example.
me.
I don't like this argument either. Like, it's like almost like a pro-eugenics argument for abortion. I think that you're unnecessarily conceding to something that most people will not look fondly at. You know what I mean? It's just what? I'm not going to rape you, I promise. What the fuck? Okay. Olalade in LA and Koreatown is fucking insane. All right. What the fuck is going on, dude?
Because it is not between me.
Right, but
it is between that mom, her health, her relationship with whoever she believes in. It is not on me.
Here's sort of the problem. You're extrapolating from a very emotionally laden example to everything. And I'm wondering how you're doing that. So you give me a case in which you have a woman who, for whatever reason, literally cannot feed her child. For some reason, adoption's not available. There are no food stamps. There's literally nothing. She's in a desert by herself, and the baby.
What do you say to people who say they're pro-life because their friend almost got aborted, so they wouldn't exist if their mother got an abortion? What? What an insane fucking question. That has nothing to do with like forcing women to carry pregnancy as a term. Great, man. Like, glad that your fucking friend is alive. Like, what? That's what 14-year-olds say? Is it? I have not heard that at all. I'm an abortion survivor. Technically, I'm an abortion survivor. My mother almost had to get an abortion. When my mom and dad were in England, the fucking local healthcare provider literally was like, yeah, your baby's gonna fucking die. Yeah. And you know what I think about that? If they would have aborted me at the time, who gives a shit? You know, I wouldn't be alive. Okay, well, whatever. I'm pro-life now, sorry. Man, that's so dumb. This is a dumb argument. Okay, yeah, the NHS almost killed me. If you were born British, would you have preferred to get aborted? Yes.
Baby's going to die. Is that abortion equivalent to a woman who decides to, you know, because she doesn't want the baby for economic reasons or because it's going to crimp her lifestyle, like whatever, you said you don't care about the reason at all. That's your words, not mine. So she's 15 weeks pregnant. She wants to kill it. That's the same? Why?
You're asking me why it's the same. I'm asking you why isn't it the same? Why is a baby who
I think it's pretty self-evidently the same, not the same.
Can't be born say that if she doesn't want to, if she says that I can't economically afford this child, that's like somebody going and saying, I can't economically afford this car, and the car salesperson still taking them on a test drive. Like, what's the point if they've already told you that they are not going to be able to economically afford it unless you give them, like you said, okay, what about abortion? Well, there's how many people in foster care that aren't being adopted right now today? All right,
should we kill them or what?
I'm not saying we should kill them. I'm just saying that should we wait at least until
would have been better if they were
those
dead?
people. You tell me.
No, you tell me. You're the one who's suggesting
those
that's a matter of moral apathy, whether those kids were born or not. I don't think so.
So if kids are in foster care and not being treated well, they're being abused. They're not being fed.
That is a
they're being
horrific
they're
problem,
being
yes.
they're being locked.
Oh my God. Where is this argument going? I have to skip it. I'm skipping this.
No, is that well, okay, we're gonna take this chair. Look at that.
Hey, Ben.
Like a bro, my friend. All right.
How's it going?
Let's break open
So, first
a beer or
question,
something.
can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant,
Okay, awesome. So,
definitionally.
definitionally, okay. Do men experience SA? Sexual assault?
Sure.
TikTok immediately.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So, my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
What?
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white
Well, here, let me
supremacy.
give it to you, Ben.
Sure, please.
So, I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So, if we're talking about the American dream that you live,
So-
why don't I have access to that?
He's cooking
Because
them.
there's no legislation, in the history of America, that legislates a man's body. So why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in.
Yo, dude, trans men are the best. They just break conservative brains so hard. They're like, I think transphobes are so lasered in on trans women that they forget that like trans men even exist, right? So when that reality hits them right in the fucking face, they're like, what? He just short circuited. He called him bro. He probably regrets it now. Exactly. Watch Ben try to desperately misgender this trans man after correctly gendering him. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Wonderful stuff. I didn't know where he was going with that argument, with the whole like, do you benefit from white supremacy or any of that? But Mr. We Can Always Tell. Oh, that's so good.
What your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. I mean, it's all over everything you make,
no,
buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on
kind
my
of an
face that I
obsession
radically
you
am
guys
not.
have.
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're
He's like, I'm grossed out by you, I promise.
talking about
No,
abortion,
I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist who actually share a lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years.
I've
got
I
a wife.
recognize that you exist. I disagree with your
Right.
claim
So
that you
if
are a
I
male.
was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because
What does
I
this
was
have to-
sexually assaulted?
I mean,
No, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? You know, I mean, you get your choice as a man to live and free and all that.
You're really moving around terminology very wildly here.
And so,
no, he's not. No, he's not. The problem for you, Ben, is that you have a duty to present yourself as a transphobic person who firmly has a commitment to misgendering trans people that are in your vicinity. But the problem is, because gender is demonstrably expressive, you are having a hard time doing that because of what is in front of you. You have already openly treated this trans man as a man. So now you're trying to fucking desperately be like, well, you're throwing terminology around. No, he's not. He's not. He's not throwing terminology at all. It's just his existence is short-circuiting your brain right now because you have your political ambitions on the one side, and on the other side, you are like, how am I going to be able to maintain my posture and like keep correctly misgendering him? That is amazing. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's fantastic. This is fantastic. Awesome.
Or you, because that's the tactics you play in your game. And you've done it the entire time. You've jumped from one subject to the next. You speak so fast, and I know how you work. So how does it feel to have it in your face?
Oh, well, I mean,
Because I'm sick and tired of.
He's literally short-circuiting. He's like, dude, it's so awesome because he's also like a larger presence. Like oh God. Oh, this is so perfect. Oh my God. I never in a million years, I used to pray for times like this. Oh my God. Oh, pack watch, bozo. Holy shit. This is like the fucking the Ben Shapiro tweet that I made like a couple years back, being like, dude, obviously gender is not as rigid a binary as you fucking claim it is, because you don't even fit the fucking mold. The man in front of you, literally in a lineup, fits more masculine features and has a more masculine outwardly presence than you do, Ben. He's taller than you. He can grow a full beard. You know? He's bigger than you. What's up, Ben? What the fuck's up? What's up? Now he has to just sit there. He already broed him. So now he just has to fucking sit there and eat it. Yeah. Ben, you're 5'3", can't grow facial hair, and weigh 100 pounds soaking wet. If we can both be considered men, you should probably be a bit more open-minded about gender expressions. It's clearly not as rigid a binary as you try to imply it is. 131,000 likes. Masculinity and femininity exist. Outward indicators of masculinity and femininity exist in nearly every human culture. Boys are taught to be more masculine in virtually every human culture because the role of men is not always the same as the role of women. That's so fire. God damn, that shit.
Of the shit that you have put against my community, especially black trans women, because you constantly disregard all of our needs and then use us politically as a pawn when we're 1% of the population. Why not focus on the economy itself? All of us are struggling, and you want to focus on trans people. You want to focus.
Oh, damn. Yo, he had an agenda. God damn, this is great. Yo, why are people throwing up flags right now? Okay. Some of you need to fucking dial it back and let my king speak. Okay? I cannot believe people are like, they're not talking about abortion. Ben's getting fucking mogged over here, and you're like, put that flag down. That's transphobia. Oh, god damn. This is so sick. That's how you know he really fucking hates trans people, by the way. God, he can't even fucking be in the presence of a trans person. He just like, it breaks his brain.
On a black woman when this is clearly a glass cliff situation. America's falling apart, and let's give it a woman right when it's all falling apart, when we'd had, 50 men run it and it looks like shit?
Oh my God, he even did the glass cliff argument. Yo, that's crazy. He's right. Yo, he's cooking. God damn. God damn, dude. He said, not only can I do MPreg, you also just got impregnated. That's crazy. Oh my God. He destroyed Ben Shapiro and America in one 60-second block. What the fuck? Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. The glass cliff argument is one that is common, like the Linda Yaccarino Like when Elon Musk bought Twitter, like some companies end up putting a woman in charge when the company's about to fucking fall apart. So they'd be like, see, we put a woman in charge and it still fell apart. Like Twitter.
Look at where we're at. Truly,
So-
where do you think that we're heading? I
So-
mean, it's so funny to watch
You've
like
been going
white
for-
supremacy just fall apart the way that it is, and you ride so hard because guess what? In other countries around the world, women are not having children, and why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate, and all of this idea that abortion is
He's
somehow
that 4B movement.
going to solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society. We're just going to completely ignore that, and we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have
Oh my God, Ben is so uncomfortable. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ben is literally. Wait, dude, I need to
not
see his
having
face
children.
again.
And why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate, and all of this idea that abortion is somehow going to solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society. We're just going to
Look at him. Damn. The legends say that he actually became 5'3" in that moment. He was 5'4" before he entered the arena, and he left the arena an inch shorter.
completely ignore
Like he shrunk in real time, dude. What the fuck? Yeah, this is the one time where transphobia literally means you're afraid of trans people. People be like, oh, transphobia. Like, what do you mean? You're like afraid of trans people? Like, no, Ben is, okay? He is. He's like physically afraid of a trans person. He's figuratively afraid of a trans person. He is the most transphobic he has ever been in his life. This is so good.
that. And we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have babies so that we can continue this capitalistic society that we have. Why are we doing that? What?
Damn, people are like, he's cooking so hard. People in the audience are like, God damn, he's right.
I mean, why? Because you want to push white supremacy and because you want to make your check? It does great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis, and including my entire community and the intersectionalities of Black women, men that experience SA, trans people, everyone that comes in. And I'm so sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado, that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American? This guy's been accused of rape, Trump, in like court documents, and you're backing the guy. Like, you have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? Like, what is wrong with you, dude? I've never seen such a party just completely like the American idea, what we believe in as a country, is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had.
Pause.
Damn. He fucked him so hard. The referees had to come in and be like, please stop. Ben's gonna leave. He got scolded like a child. That was kind of sick. That was a cool moment. That was, wow. Ben won by being quiet. Wake up, bro. Dude, I don't think we watched the same thing that. Did we just? I'm cute and kind. Oh my God, it's Ben Shapiro. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's Ben Shapiro's alt account. No one will know it's me if I call myself cute and kind. Stop it, Ben. That was sick. Yeah, that's how debates are won, by being quiet and shrinking into your safe space. I thought debates were won by, making a convincing argument. What happened? What convincing argument did Ben retaliate with? Yeah, he won by going nonverbal. I win all of my arguments by going nonverbal. You don't understand.
Pleasure to meet you.
Oh. Yo, he's
Okay,
dope.
There's a lot of tension in the room now. Let's stay cordial. Let's stay respectful, please. Please.
Yeah. All of my haters that are constantly trying to clip me out of context to be like, he should get banned, fail to recognize that I just showed you pornographic violation. Like that, if you clip this out of context, if you clip that entire segment and be like, Hasan is literally showing porn on stream, I would probably get fucking banned. Okay. That was insane.
Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. So let's say that I'm voted out by my friends here, and I stand up and immediately collapse onto the ground. Paramedics rush in, and through some magical means, they determine that the only person who can save my life is you. You can do that by giving me a transplant. Mm-hmm. Can you be forced to give me a transplant?
I cannot.
Why?
Because I do not have a parental relationship with you, and thus I do not owe you a duty of care in the same way that I would if, say, you were my son.
Can a parent be forced to give a...
Ben knew the violinist argument was coming and immediately deflected by saying, I do not have a duty to give you parental care.
Kid a transplant.
Yes, a parent can be forced to give a kid an enormous number of resources, or should be.
Can you be forced to give me blood?
No.
Do you believe that the average person should be able to be forced by the government to do something with their body?
It depends what, because that
Why
that
can
is
you
the
not be
nature of
forced
law.
to give me? Why can you not be forced to give me an organ?
Because I do not owe you a duty of care sufficient to remove an organ
Because
from
you
me.
cannot be forced to use your body to sustain my own, and that is the crux of
Because
the
I do not owe
abortion
you a
argument.
duty to
Because
care.
you cannot be forced to use your body to sustain my own, and that is the crux of the abortion argument. And the problem is, and it's very morally
You're ignoring the
inconsistent.
parental relationship.
Because there's a point
Yeah,
here.
see, Ben knew that Ben's heard the fucking violinist argument before. He immediately tried to counter it like off the jump.
There's a very morally inconsistent part to your argument right here. If you do not believe that you should be forced to sustain my body using your own, then you should also not believe that a woman should be forced to sustain a child that they do not want to carry in utero. Is the same basic argument.
Well,
it doesn't matter how you get there. Let's say that you crash into me on the way out of here.
Well, no, it's
if you
actually-
hit
it's not
into
the-
me,
it's actually
yes,
not
it
the
is.
same
But it is. If you say
It
that,
isn't,
let's
though.
say that you run into me
Okay.
on the way out of here. If you crash into me, it doesn't matter that that is the reason why I am in that state. You cannot be forced.
I think going forward from this point on, Ben is always going to be worried about using gender pronouns because he thinks like every single person is a trans woman or a trans man under the random moment where he gets hit with another trans person, that he dare not make that mistake and accidentally correctly gender them, which is really funny because now he has arrived at being woke on accident, where he's like, he needs to ask people their gender pronouns. Tell me what your gender pronouns are and if you're trans or not before we get started with this conversation, please. So I can correctly misgender you. Oh, dude, that's so sick.
to give me blood. You cannot be forced to give me an organ. You
Okay,
cannot be
that's not
forced to
actually
use your body
how
to
abortion
sustain my
works.
own.
An abortion includes a pre-existing physical connection between the two bodies. So a better example would be the so-called dead violinist example or dying violinist example that was put forward by a philosopher. I can't remember her name. The basic idea there is that you wake up in a room and I'm connected to you, right? And you have some sort of health condition, I'm connected to you, and I'm giving you a blood transfusion. And if I remove that, you'll die. Do I have a duty not to remove it? I think there's actually a fairly decent case that I actually do have a duty.
No, you
not
do
to
not.
remove it.
You do not have
Well,
a duty to be
you can't-
forced to.
Why are you
because
defining my
do-
moral position?
You do not have a duty
My
to
moral
sustain
position is
someone
not
else's
yours,
body
clearly.
using your own. Thank you.
This is the chatter who said he had short legs.
It's been tough to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 5'2".
You made it.
I'm the only one in the room shorter than you. Okay, so honestly, my understanding of Kamala's plan is a return to Roe v. Wade, but in the legislative level. That seems to be the majority opinion by the American people. They were not for the removal, right? Trump is not really for an abortion ban, right?
I mean,
In
he
his
himself has said
personal
he is
level.
not.
Okay, yeah, but unfortunately, the way he governs, he puts those three folks in the Supreme Court. They do it. His vice presidential pick really wants to do it. He's claiming now that everybody wants it to the states. Nobody wanted it. No, that was not the demand. I think people are just kind of interested in protecting their freedoms. It's a bigger discussion about freedom. And I think Kamala Harris is going to be the presidential pick to protect the freedoms.
Okay, so again, I think that we have to define what we think Kamala Harris's position is. I think that it goes well beyond simply restoring Roe versus Wade, for example, which is an extremely flawed legal decision, wide variety of legal scholars ranging from right to left. Ruth Bader Ginsburg used to point out that that was a very flawed legal decision.
We can't pretend that like this is like a bipartisan thing. Roe v. Wade was a problem. The bipartisan thing.
No,
was
you might like
having
the,
Roe
you
v.
might,
Wade.
you might like the results. You might like the results of Roe versus
I
Wade.
don't
The
have
actual
much
legal decision is a bad legal decision.
I think that.
That's the end of this claim.
I'm glad you finally made it, though.
Hopefully, I can come back for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight.
Fucking Jubilee. One Republican, 25. Kamala Harris border policies will turn America into an unsafe and bankrupt nation. Let's go!
Some of my colleagues
Let's
here in
fucking
the circle really
go!
talk about.
Let's go! Even though Mason is like the 8th Hasanabi head that is actually encountering Ben in this debate so far, but still, let's fucking go! Fuck Jubilee for normalizing right-wing positions. Yeah.
About why they appreciate Kamala Harris's right shift when it comes to border policy, trying to deter the amount of people that are coming through the southern border. That's not something I'm particularly passionate about. So I'm more inclined to talk about specifically why you, somebody who purports himself as someone who's uber capitalist, want to remove the labor pool from this country, which always increases to business and economic growth.
Right. So I'm not interested in removing the labor pool from the country as a general rule. However, I don't believe that it's an economic benefit to the United States to bring in a low skill, low education labor pool that is drawing significantly from public benefits, for example. And there are very good data to show that there's huge reliance on, say, emergency rooms, educational.
Oh, Mason, you should have heard me fucking use this against Ann Coulter or any number of different instances. That is actually 0.09% of overall cost of like that. It is so marginal. It is so unimaginably marginal. That's the only thing that Republicans can correctly identify in terms of like whatever semblance of social safety nets that like undocumented immigrants can take advantage of.
Facilities. Based on the Center for Immigration Studies, there's a net cost to low-wage, low-skill immigration coming into the country.
You're in favor with emergency rooms just deterring people based on what they look like or what might be perceived as someone with a lack of citizenship?
No, I'm very much in favor of limiting the amount of illegal immigration to zero and then allowing a fair bit of legal immigration.
Did I forget to run the ad break, by the way? I did. Fuck, here it is now. Thank you, Chatter, for reminding me.
We're interested in decreasing the pool of people and population in this country so there are less emergency room visits, or are you more in favor of actually documenting these people so we're able to track like exactly who is coming through? Like I'm kind of lacking what your argument is.
It's not about number. It's about the people who are coming in. I believe that everybody who comes into this country should come in through a legal mechanism, and that the United States ought to be able to select the people who are coming in, who are the best, brightest, and most useful to the American population, because that is the prerogative of any nation.
So do you think that the way that we do allow people in through our legalization process, especially with how much egregious obstacles people have to go through, might incentivize people to come through non-legal means?
I mean,
On average, it takes about 10 years for somebody to gain citizenship in this country. And if somebody is fleeing political persecution, I really find it interesting how conservatives always like to talk about the response to certain behaviors instead of what the...
For the record, let's put to bed the emergency room conversation very quickly, okay? He's ass blasting him, and I'm gonna start it from the start for a second. But I do want you guys to know something very important. Okay? The Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act and to Emergency Medicaid, there is a paper published in the Journal of Health Affairs that shows that undocumented immigrants between the ages of 18 to 64 consumed about $1.1 billion in government healthcare benefits in 2006. This was 0.13% of the government healthcare expenditure. 0.1. Okay? So what Ben is talking about here is literally 0.1% of the overall healthcare expenditure. Okay? That was 2006 though. It doesn't matter. It hasn't like greatly expanded since then. You have to look at the percentages. The American population increased. The American undocumented population increased. The percentage overall did not. Okay, this is undocumented immigrants specifically using emergency rooms. Okay. That is an important number. Okay. That is an important number to understand. Why is it an important number to understand? Because that is one of the only ways in which undocumented immigrants can directly take advantage of like government social safety nets of some sort. Outside of that, they actually pay into the system, but they can't get anything in return. So all of this argument is bunk, which is why Republicans usually lie and say undocumented immigrants